Hello and thanks for joining us on Nationwide, live on the network service of the NTA. I am Ifoma Ojinta. Welcome. And of course, it's Wednesday and a meeting of the Federal Executive Council is ongoing at the nation's seat of government, the Presidential Villa. The meeting is being presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo is now standing by to give us an update. Over to you, Adamu.
Thank you, studio. The meeting, as usual, started at exactly 11 o'clock in the morning with virtually all the council members in attendance, including Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. It is the 7th in the series for the year 2020. As you might be aware, the Federal Executive Council is the highest policy decision-making organ of the Nigerian government. Decisions taken here are aimed at enhancing good governance and effective service delivery in the country. For the Buhari presidency, taking Nigeria to the next level is the major concern. And to do this, ministries, departments and agencies are expected to come here and submit their memoranda for consideration and possible approval. And on such approvals made so far, ministers have been given account of their accomplishments since the beginning of the next level administration. Those yet to do so are expected to be engaged today and in subsequent meetings on their actions or inactions regarding the implementation of their mandate areas. More than 10 ministers have so far taken the hot seat, with the last being the Minister of Health as well as that of Mines and Steel Development. But most importantly, the 5-man committee set up by President Muhammadu Buhari to assess the impact of the coronavirus disease on the nation's economy will be submitting its report to the council. Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed, who is the chairman of the committee, had told the nation that President Muhammadu Buhari is worried that with a significant fall in the crude oil price in the international market, Nigeria will not be able to finance her 2020 budget predicated on the crude oil benchmark price of $57 per barrel. The committee, which must have consulted widely, is therefore expected to submit its recommendations to the council for possible approval on the best way forward for Nigeria. One thing is, however, certain: the size of Nigeria's 2020 budget of 10.59 trillion naira will be reduced. We'll keep you posted with details on this and other resolutions of the council as soon as practicable. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Adamu, for that update. And a release from the presidency says President Muhammadu Buhari has no involvement whatsoever in the dethronement of His Royal Highness Muhammadu Sanusi II from the position of Emir of Kano. The release by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, described the statement as unfair and that all such insinuations are untrue, malicious and politically motivated. According to the release, the president does not have a history of intervening in the affairs of any state in the country unless the issue at hand is of national consequence. On such matters which impinge on national security, he has a duty of involvement as the law stipulates, as outlined in the Constitution. The appointment or removal of emirs and other traditional leaders is strictly within the jurisdiction of state government. President Buhari commends the people of Kano for keeping calm in the past few days of the dethronement announcement. He praised that the will of Allah will be done at all times and that the emirate and states and its people continue to experience progress irrespective of who is on the throne. And to legislative matters, the Senate has considered the bill that seeks to amend the Finance Act 2019. The bill, which has been passed through second reading, is primarily to make clarifications on some provisions of the finance law. The administrative effective date for the increase in value-added tax from 5 to 7% is 1st of February 2020, and that animal feeds are also included in the list of basic food items that are exempted from VAT. The bill also seeks to state clearly that the tax incentives for agriculture is to be administered by the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. The Senate also passed the Northwest Development Commission Establishment Bill through second reading. The bill, sponsored by Senator Barau Jibril, is aimed at facilitating rapid and sustainable development of the region. A bill that seeks to ban the importation and use of generating sets has been introduced in the Senate. Global oil price crash in what is now famous as Black Monday is stimulating conversations on how Nigeria can do without all stakeholders. Please, I take that again. Now, stakeholders at the Second Central Bank of Nigeria Consultative Roundtable insist that plummeting oil prices consequent upon COVID-19 is a push for Nigeria to adopt multiple sources of revenue to achieve economic stability, Onange Fineface reports.
Nigeria relies on oil as its major source of revenue and foreign exchange. The nation's 2020 budget is predicated on a $57 per barrel oil price benchmark. COVID-19 is taking its toll on the oil market, forcing oil prices on a downward slope to $33 per barrel with no immediate respite in sight. For a nation dependent on oil to fund its budget, this reality calls for innovative solutions that will mitigate the impact of the oil price crash through exploitation of non-oil sectors of the economy, and this is the focus of the Second Central Bank of Nigeria Going for Growth Roundtable.
Our craze for imports of everything and anything supported factories, farms, and creation of jobs in other countries, why we lost the jobs.
But what is rational to do is to assume certain basic fundamentals, which is that this price will remain low. And you make that assumption, it brings down your cost, you become more realistic about your estimates, your financials settle so that the banks know what they are funding.
Opportunities in agriculture, manufacturing, digital economy, creative industry, and the imperatives of import substitution vis-à-vis infrastructure development are concerns the roundtable aims to address.
These headwinds reinforce the wake-up call for us as a country to look towards a life without oil. And the time to do that is now.
You have to diversify your economy and make it great through agriculture and manufacturing. Manufacturing actually, creates a lot of jobs, creates middle class, and also transform countries.
Outcomes of conversations here will be presented to the federal government to mitigate impact of COVID-19 on the economy. In Abuja, Onange Fineface, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Mile 2 International Motor Park is 52 kilometers to Seme border, a strategic location to trade and investment along the West Africa corridor. With the federal government intensifying surveillance at containing the coronavirus, the land border cannot be left out. Adiola Komi-Akere is at the Mile 2 International Motor Park in Lagos in search of measures put in place to prevent further spread. Hello, Adiola.
Sensitization talks as to how they will protect themselves at this garage, because this is where travelers from all over come when they're going to Lomé, Cotonou, Seme, Ghana, and Côte d'Ivoire. They board vehicles from this park. And I have with me here Chief Stanley, who will be telling us the measures that they have put in place, at this park to ensure that they are protected from COVID-19. Of course, we know that the government is doing their own part. But on the part of the transporters and the NURTW, what are they doing? Chief Kelechi, thank you very much. Can you tell us the measures you have put in place at this park to ensure that your drivers are protected and, of course, your passengers against the coronavirus?
Thank you, NTA, for coming to our office, at least to help us to tell people about coronavirus and our problems in these ISIS. First and foremost, last week we were called at Alausa by the Lagos State government to enlighten us about coronavirus. They told us how to be doing, to wash our hands whenever you ease yourself, and to avoid closer contact with people, and to find out people, especially people that come from areas, to verify actually how they are, their health status, before we allow them. And when we came back, we called our drivers and owners like us. We told them, those people that were not opportune to be at Alausa, we told them all we had there, and all of them were happy. And we didn't stop there. Next tomorrow again, we are going to summon them again to keep on telling them, because we heard about coronavirus. We have never seen a patient like that, and we don't pray to see a patient with coronavirus in Nigeria itself, talk less of my two. So God will really help us. That is how we are doing. And ordinarily, we are telling our families too. After telling the drivers, we tell the drivers to tell their families as well. So that is so far how we have gone.
Okay, now we expect to have seen spots where people can wash their hands or sensitizers, available. And I didn't see any here. From the sensitization seminar you attended Friday, why is that not here?
Just a few days ago, if you can see, this place, this park, we have offices before. But when the Lagos State government said they don't want any structure near the road, they broke all this place. You see, all of us are just hanging outside until, by grace of God, when we are through with the government, so they can allow us put any small structure, so that all those things will be in place. Before, we have toilet, we have everything here in Maitu, because this is international park. So because of this breakage, if you cross here, you see that place like aeroplane field now. So because of that, we don't have anything for now.
The sanitizer does not need a structure.
Whether structure or no structure, we have our buckets, we bought all those things for them. I cannot carry it while I'm talking to you here. It's there.
All right, thank you, Chief Kelechi, for enlightening us. Quickly, I have Livingston Duga. He is a driver who actually drives from Maltu here to Seme, Cotonou and back. Now, how are you protecting yourself? You come in contact with people from within and outside Nigeria. How do you protect yourself as a driver?
As a driver, I protect myself for coronavirus. With the advisor, when we came back from Ghana or the Cotonou, we have to wash our hands. When you took the passenger, you know how the passenger, though nobody know the person have the sickness, but you have to know how to take care of you welcome to the passenger. So that's why we talk about it.
Thank you very much, Livingston Doga, for your time. Well, it boils down to the fact that most of the drivers here, they know about coronavirus and they are working at it to ensure that they curb it, that it doesn't get here.
Okay,
the bottom line now is for everybody to join hands together and ensure that they support government in the fight against...
Okay, Adiola, very quickly, just before you go, aside what they have told you, what other things did you observe at the park there?
Okay, I actually observed that the park is not as boisterous as it used to be, and they are complaining about that because of the fear of the coronavirus, they don't have much passengers. I've been here for over 5 hours, and I can tell you that only 2 vehicles has left this park to Seme or Cotonou. So the drivers are really not happy, and they are pleading on government to come to their aid, assist them and provide some of the things they need so that passengers will be free to come to the park and travel.
Okay, thank you very much, Adiola. That will be all for now. Now, as relevant authorities take necessary steps to reduce risk of the spread of coronavirus, activities at the Port Harcourt port terminals are at the lowest ebb. Ijoma Ugweke visited the Port Harcourt terminals and the National Union of Road Transport Workers office for a situation report.
Besides the redoubled screening at airport and land borders, the seaport is another entry point to the country. For now, there is no sign of new arrival of ship at port terminals in Port Harcourt, owing to the fact that most consignments are brought in from countries confirmed with cases of coronavirus. Across the seaports in Nigeria, more than 40 ships enter into the waterways daily. What this implies is shipping crew from every part of the world gain access into the country's maritime domain, including countries affected with coronavirus. Following the confirmation of the coronavirus in Lagos, the port authorities say they are putting measures in place to ensure the ports are seriously secured.
Any vessel coming comes with a yellow flag. And when you see the yellow flag, that means the ship has not been cleared. So when the port head goes on board, they check, and if everything is okay, they will now bring the yellow flag down and now give the opportunity for other workers to go in. And if there's anybody with any sign or symptom, the port health will now take the person to the disease control center. But presently, we don't have any incidents of so.
The authorities of the road transport workers are hoping that the State Ministry of Health will intensify efforts beyond raising alert levels to ensure screening at motor parks.
We are still expecting a team of health department to our office.
Meanwhile, maintaining proper hygiene at home and public places has been stressed as one of the preventive measures. In Port Harcourt, Ijoma Ugweke, NTA News.
In the meantime, a major step in containing the outbreak of another index case of COVID-19 and other virus threatening the nation's health sector is taking the lead in changing perception of citizens towards reviving the culture of sanitation and personal hygiene. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that this formed integral part of a discussion at a stakeholders' retreat on revitalization of wash sector in Kaduna State.
The population in Kaduna State is steadily growing at a ratio of 2.5% per annum, with an approximate projection of 30 million by the year 2030. Now the increasing demographic size with outbreak of emergency health situation and water sanitation is stimulating high-level conversation by key players in the water sector.
We can testify that you are strategically implementing the Sustainable Development Goals.
Kaduna State intends to regain its lead, not only of the wash sector achievement, but in all aspects of development.
The dialogue is also focused on new policy frameworks and strengthening of collaboration with intervention partners to increase quantity and quality of safe water. Zubairu Abdul Karim is a public health officer and determined, like other of his colleagues, to carry out program at the grassroots to support activities across the state in line with SDGs goals.
We have to go back and sit down on the table again and then plan on how to achieve the end of orphan defecations and provision of water supply before the end of 2030.
As much as possible, there are things that households can do to improve the quality of their water.
The commitment of federal government to end open defecation is serving a plus model to explore areas of water sanitation, which Zubairu says he is determined to achieve.
Kaduna State is reinventing the wheel of sound hand-washing culture as first line of defense against the spread of deadly virus and other health issues of public concern. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
And still on health matters, the World Health Organization and international development partners will decide on the certification of Nigeria as polio-free nation by June this year. Dalhatu Abdullahi reports that a delegation of the African Regional Polio-Free Certification Commission visited Sokoto as part of activities ahead of the deadline.
The struggle to kick polio out of Nigeria had over the years experienced challenges of rejection of the polio vaccines by many communities forcing stakeholders to come up with strategies to change the narratives for the better. The success story is that for over 3 years, no case of wild polio virus was recorded in Nigeria, and in Sokoto State, no case was recorded for over 5 years. The visit to Sokoto State by a delegation of experts from the African Regional Polio-Free Certification Commission is part of activities by key stakeholders ahead of the June deadline.
We are doing all what it can to have this polio eradication and the elder relative health matters to be history in this state.
Key role, sharing, directing, guiding. These are the things that have made the difference. And for you to be with us here is testament to the support and commitment that you continue to give.
Sokoto State government has been in the lead in paying its counterpart funding on matters of education and healthcare services. In Sokoto, Dalhat Abdullahi, NTA News.
And away from health, the trial of the convener of Revolution Now protests, Omoyele Sowore, and his co-defendant, Olawale Bakari, resumed at the Federal High Court, Abuja, with the prosecution counsel, Christian Irabo, bringing an application to protect the identity of some prosecution witnesses. Counsel to the defense, Olumide Fusika, SAN, Femi Falana, SAN, opposed the move as an attempt to precipitate an adjournment. The court decided to defer ruling on the issue. Justice Ijoma Ojukwu thereafter directed the first prosecution witness, Olawale Rashid, to take the witness stand. Rashid told the court that Sowore was arrested on 3rd August 2019, prior to the 5th of August 2019, when Sowore allegedly planned to overthrow the federal government through a public procession. And Ruth in Lagos will give us details on an update on Alaska Bridge and other reports trending in that zone. Hello, Ruth. Good to see you.
Hello, Ijoma. It's always good to see you. We begin here with transportation, where motorists have been warned to abide strictly to road traffic rules in order to install sanity on Alaka Bridge in Lagos following an emergency closure. The Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, Adedamola Kuti, says the closure is to enable workers effectively carry out integrity tests on the bridge. Dr. Ogunyemi has the details.
Although the closure of the bridge has caused untold hardship on motorists in Lagos, officials of the Ministry of Works and Housing say it is better to be safe than sorry, as one of the bearings that links the Alaka Bridge has been identified, and subsequently the bridge has been closed to traffic for proper assessments to be done. And when that is concluded, the officials of the ministry say they would then inform Lagosians and other motorists on the next line of action.
There's no need to be worried. That is why we consider safety, that if a bridge is not safe for public use, and that was why the government had to step in immediately, and safety is very paramount, so we're on top of the situation. There is no cause for alarm. They should just, members of the public should just obey the traffic agencies. They are manning the diversion routes, just for people to be able to. There are other avenues, especially for smaller vehicles, smaller cars. They can still come and use from Iponri to Coste on the service lane. They'll be able to link up with the National Theatre and then climb up and continue their journey towards the highland. And then for those who can avoid this particular area entirely, can do that, go towards the Third Mainland Bridge.
But for now, it's better to close the bridge and also to ensure that everything is done to avoid a collapse of this bridge.
In Lagos, Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
And to other matters, the role of women in nation building and the need for them to support one another were the focus of a one-day dialogue for women in Lagos. Our Yusuf Jibo reports that the event, tagged Changemakers, was organized by the British Deputy High Commission.
When women from all walks of life gather for a dialogue on pertinent issues affecting them, it is often with a view to preferring solutions to addressing challenges limiting their potential.
There's a lot of emphasis on looks. I find that that's so difficult for any woman who's trying to, get ahead or anything. What's up with the looks? Don't worry about the looks.
This dialogue, convened by the British Deputy High Commissioner Harriet Thompson, is one of such meetings, and the list of discourse ranged from sustainable economic empowerment of Nigerian women, gender equality, to inclusion of more women in governance.
Not that women are more important than men, but women are equally important as men. And if Nigeria is a country, my own country, the UK, the world in general, is going to achieve its potential, we need women and men to be involved.
Participants shared life-inspiring experiences that captured their resilience and contribution to the betterment of other women and the society.
It would be great to see more women, teaching STEM subjects and getting young people, preparing them for the fourth industrial revolution and the future of work.
A lot has been said about women operating at very high levels in politics, in finance, in economics, even in STEM and whatnot. But not enough is being said about the women at the lower levels, at the grassroots levels, the community voices, community stories that need to be told.
The one-day dialogue is part of activities to mark the International Women's Day. In Lagos, Awal Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
Those are the stories making the rounds in Lagos. From the Center of Excellence, Ifoma, it's back to you.
Many thanks, Ruth. Now, enhancing farmer support packages and entrenching conducive environments as well as access to finance will guarantee Nigeria's drive to self-sufficiency in rice production. Nura Tanko Wakili takes a look at rice packaging in Kebbi State, its prospects and challenges. Reports.
The federal government's huge investment on the rice value chain has propelled the country's chances of attaining self-sufficiency in rice production with corresponding increase in processing, packaging and marketing aspects of the commodity value chain.
The present administration under President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015 launched an Anko Borrows program aimed at encouraging and supporting farmers to produce paddy rice to be used by Nigerian millers. But the production is far below what the rice mills can boast of or can be used.
However, access to finances for stakeholders in the rice value chain, availability of raw materials, and lack of access to modern equipment for mechanized farming are some of the challenges bedeviling the value chain in the country. Some consumers emphasize the need for government to bring together smaller millers into clusters for training and empowerment to be able to produce better.
You can't compare this and the foreign, because this one does, before you cook it now, there's some sounds, you have to at least clear it before cooking.
The stakeholders are of the opinion that effective implementation of the present administration's policy on the rice value chain and the view of some will not only make the country self-sufficient but exporter of parboiled rice. In Birnin Kebbi, Nuratan Kwakili, NTA News.
Similarly, prior to the improved methodology in processing the popular Abakaliki rice, now branded as Ebonyi Rice World, the crave for foreign rice was alarming in the state. Having addressed issues that made the local rice less attractive by the government, Uchechukwu Chibueze Idam reports that people are now more comfortable with locally produced rice than with the foreign products.
People's preference of foreign rice to local products has always been hinged on the fact that it is polished, stone-free and very attractive to the eyes with its long grain, unlike the local product, which they say looks dull and leaves one with the task of picking stones and other particles. This preference for the foreign product before the ban on its importation in the country made the demand for the local rice to be very minimal, with the Abakaliki rice suffering the same fate. To change the narrative and launch the product on the international scene as one of the best products produced and processed to consumer satisfaction, the Ebonyi State government has been making frantic efforts to ensure improved quantity and quality production of the local rice with the procurement of various processing machines, with training and retraining of the farmers in rice production and processing.
I had the opportunity to attend the workshop on agriculture in UK.
And what was prepared, it was demonstrated, the foreign rice, the Israeli rice, the Thailand rice, and the Abakaliki rice was put to test. And the Abakaliki rice gave the best test in the whole world.
Oh, we have gone to a digital stage in agricultural technologies. We have mills, ultra-modern mills, and the stoning machines that pick all those stones and debris that are mixed with chaffs.
The machine is there to make the rice look like a foreign one. And as well, you are as well giving job opportunity to your state instead of you patrolling the foreign one.
As the advocacy for the consumption of the locally produced rice continues, it is expected that the quality will continue to improve with time. In Abakaliki, Uchechukwu Chibezidam, NTA News.
Now let's hear what Nigerians are saying about local rice.
I'll say there is improvement in the sense that most people are consuming it now. That is the improvement. Before it wasn't like that. Before all the rice were always imported. Presently, most people are consuming our local rice. So I'll say there is an improvement.
But my worry is that the producers, they don't maintain it in such a way that they don't clean it.
I can hardly know the difference between the local and the so much called the imported ones. I can see that our local farmers have improved greatly.
There's a much improvement in the production of local rice. And even I prefer local rice to the foreign rice. Now we have seen the test and difference between the local rice and the foreign rice.
Now with me in the studio to talk more on the rice revolution is a member of the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, Nuhu Bello Dogon Daji. You're welcome to our studios.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now the demand for local rice, has been on the increase in recent times. What do you think is responsible for this?
It is simply because of the revolution. What I mean by revolution, everywhere you go, it has become a household name. Rice, rice, rice all over the place. If there's increase in production, and you could see the effects, not before now. You would produce your rice, you farm your rice, paddy rice, you don't even know where to take it to. That is a major challenge. But now with the rice value change, now everybody knows his role. The farmers are doing what they are supposed to do, that is the farming. Then the processors also are waiting for the farmers to bring out. Okay. Then the marketers are doing what they are supposed to do too. Okay. On the chain. Yes.
Now, notwithstanding the demand for the local rice, we are still faced with little challenges regarding processing and packaging. Talking about sand or the chaff and all that. What is the way out of this? How can we get it right?
Well, we have started, and gradually we'll get there. Okay. And I believe it's just a matter of time, and a little time is needed.
Okay. Now, there's also this issue of, the foreign rice being cheaper than the local rice. What do you have to say about it?
Most of the foreign rice you see, they are expired rice. They have overstayed in their stores for many years before being imported here. So by the time they are imported into Nigeria, they are full of chemicals.
Okay.
They are not fresh.
However, how can government, support farmers and millers bring down the price of local rice?
Well, you see, the chain I've told you, you have seen the coming of pyramids, rice pyramids. The one for Jalingo, that's about over 30,000 bags of rice. Then the one in Kano, over 60,000 bags of rice. And also the one in Kevi. I saw it on the screen. and it is about to be launched tomorrow at Kebbi. So these are some of the gradual processes that are taking place. In those days, the pyramids are for cotton and granite. But today, we are seeing pyramids for rice. I think it's a kudos to this administration. And it is a kudos to all the people that play roles, from Central Bank Governor down to the last farmer in the farm.
Okay. Now that will be all for now. Thank you very much, Nuhu Bello Dogundaji. It's been a pleasure having you here on Nationwide. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But this is Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Thanks for staying tuned. Our next stop on Nationwide is Ibadan, and Kemi will bring us up to speed. Over to you now, Kemi.
Very much and welcome to Ibadan. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has signed into law the Oyo State Security Network Agency Bill 2020, known as Amotekun. The governor, while assenting to the bill, reiterated his administration's commitment to security of lives and property in the state. Ayomi Kwajibola has details.
While stating that the law will not only improve the security in the state, but also improve confidence in the mind of investors that would desire to make the state their investment destination, Governor Seyi Makinde stressed that the Amotekun Corps is not a replacement of the traditional security outfit in the country, but to complement efforts of the already existing Nigerian security agencies in the state.
This is complementary. It is to complement the effort of our federal security agencies. It is also a time to tell the criminally minded ones, please stay away from the southwestern geopolitical zone of Nigeria.
It will be recalled that following serial killings and kidnapping in the southwest region, the 6 governors in the region had on 9th of January this year inaugurated the regional security outfit Operation Amotekun, aimed at strengthening the security situation in the southwest. In Ibadan, Ayomi Kwajibola, NTA News.
Following the incessant gas explosion across the country, a ban has been placed on arbitrary sale of gas in residential and public places by the federal government. What is the level of compliance in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, and what are the dangers inherent? This formed the focus of this report by Shola Wahid.
Also choice for cooking because it is fast, clean and readily available. Its highly flammable nature, however, poses danger to sellers, users and the general public. In recent
majority of the people living and residing in Felele are majorly gas users.
It's still far better than all those that do all these little vendors.
Despite repeated warnings on the dangers of explosion and the need for precaution, retailers are found in every nook and cranny of residential areas, defying government restrictions and warning.
One thing people don't know, gas cylinders has expiry date, and they expire after 15 years. You have the DPR, whose sole responsibility is to ascertain locations.
Citing a shop where you sell cylinders, LPG cylinders, in an area that is not well stable for our guideline, is going to put people in danger.
People are encouraged to fill their empty cylinders at designated and approved areas and always be cautious when using gas to avoid explosion. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide on the NTA. More reports after this timeout. Do stay with us.
Many thanks, Kemi, but let's take some more reports before we go on the commercial break. Now, talking security, the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Doli has neutralized dozens of Boko Haram terrorists at Bula Korege on the fringes of the Sambisa Forest in Borno State, in continuation of Operation Decisive Edge. A statement by Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigeria Air Force Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, indicates that the massive airstrikes were conducted in 2 waves of attack on 6th March 2020, sequel to credible intelligence reports indicating that the Boko Haram terrorists had relocated some of their fighters to the settlement to reinforce the location preparatory to attacks on troops, locations and surrounding civilian settlements. Consequently, the ATF dispatched an enhanced force package of several attack aircraft and a surveillance platform to engage the location, thereby neutralizing many Boko Haram terrorists and destroying their structures in successive passes. The statement adds that the Nigerian Air Force, operating in concert with surface forces, will sustain its air campaign against the terrorist hideouts to shape the battle space for the effective conduct of further ground and air operations. Meantime, protecting the civilians at the theater of operations remains the priority of the Nigerian Armed Forces, as another batch of personnel are undergoing training at Martin Luther Agway International Peacekeeping Center, Kaduna. Ahmed Umar Kudan reports that the training is in line with United Nations' integrated approach to peace support operations.
Since May 2011, an estimated 38,070 people have been killed by insurgents, and about 2.5 million are displaced, while about 10 million persons are in need of humanitarian assistance in the Lake Chad Basin, according to the United Nations. Worried by this situation, another batch of 25 participants are undergoing a 2-week training in protection of civilians during peace support operations.
At the end of the course, the participants should be able to efficiently protect civilians. And as you are aware, in most of our missions today, most of our missions have protection of civilian mandates.
Another 30 participants will train as military observers.
The military observers are therefore responsible for monitoring and reporting of compliance by the parties.
In the same vein, the participants of the military observer, otherwise referred to as mission experts, will be occupied with the revised United Nations modules of military experts on mission course. Special attention will be paid to introduction to global positioning system, otherwise known as the GPS.
The training is designed to enhance the knowledge of participants drawn from the armed forces and paramilitary on the new techniques of protecting civilians based on the United Nations principles. In Kaduna, Ahmed Umar Kudan, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill seeking to prohibit stigmatization of victims of insurgency and militancy. The bill provides that any person or group of persons who discriminate against victims of militancy and insurgency in their bid to reintegrate with community shall be prosecuted and punished. The lawmakers also adopted a motion from Representative Chike Okafor on the need to investigate the influx of fake, substandard and counterfeit products into Nigeria, and a motion urging the Federal Ministry of Works to complete the construction of Federal Secretariat in Lafia, as approved by the Federal Executive Council in 2016, as moved by Abubakar Sarki Dahiru. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is ready to partner with the FCT administration for empowerment and rehabilitation of internally displaced persons in the territory. This was part of deliberations when the Minister, Sadia Umar Farouk, visited the FCT Minister, Mohammed Musa Bello. Ruth Agwele reports.
They were first discovered by the Catholic Mission in Durumi Area 1 in 2014, before springing to other settlements around the Federal Capital Territory. Since then, these internally displaced persons have made these camps home. To change the narrative, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is seeking collaboration with the FCT administration for the rehabilitation of the internally displaced persons in the FCT.
We are coming with a very big calabash to ask that we should also be supported to see how these people can have empowerment, water, sanitation, hygiene, and even education for their children and befitting our resettlement.
Efforts have been made in the past to relocate some based on we also have a training center in Nyanya that would be able to train many of the IDPs into meaningful skills.
Both parties look forward to restoring hope to the IDPs. The expectation is that this category of persons will someday return to their homes. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
Expected to change the narrative and bring it up to speed with global trend in that sector is in the offing. Joseph Johnson reports that the Senate Committee on Communications is on the trail of the reformation.
Gradually but firmly, the Nigerian Postal Service appears to be raising the ante, and it looks like this time its rival, the internet, which brought along with it electronic mail, isn't standing in its way. But to get past the stereotypes in a country like Nigeria, where almost every activity is taken to the internet, getting back to the drawing board to re-strategize on how best to face the ICT challenge becomes necessary. NIPOST is not alone in this search, though. They have partners in the legislative arm of government who are ready to hit the gavel on some key policies that must be backed by law. This oversight visit by the Senate Committee on Communications therefore comes handy.
What we need as Nigerians is the dedication and the resilience to overcome challenges. And I think if we are committed, we are passionate, you can turn this around.
Wherever I go, I leave legacies. NIPOST will not be an exception. We will continue to drive the system in such a way that will get results even beyond the expectation of many.
The committee was also at NCC, where it interacted with the management and pledged to assist in tackling some of the challenges facing the commission.
We are battling with security challenges occasioned by SAPT, or equipment at base transceiver stations, generators, generating sets, diesel, items of telecommunications equipment, all kinds of challenges.
The legislators pledged to visit both agencies again as the implementation of the budget continues. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
And up next is sports with Kene Imabo.